Hello, and welcome once again to Mieto Gaming, where we are discussing Raid Shadow Legends. Now, earlier today, a few hours ago, I made a video detailing my most wanted character from each of these factions. And I went through each faction, I highlighted a few that I really liked, and I called out the one I was most excited to get, who was my most wanted from that individual faction. That video was an hour and a half long. I had hoped it was just going to be like 30 minutes. It turned out to be an hour 40, an hour 50. It was like long. So given, it's that time of the year, it's close to Valentine's Day. We're actually in the middle of the Valentine's fusion. Now I figured why not make a companion piece to that? Something shorter, more simple, that kind of aligns to that video a bit, and then release them together. So I think that's what I'm going to do here. And so for this video, it's actually going to be my top 5 most wanted legendaries. And these are going to be legendary champs that can be pulled from shards. So it's not going to be legendaries that you can no longer get. It's not going to be guaranteed legendaries that you get from other ways. So it's specifically and strictly be legendaries that you pull from shards. And this is going to be slightly different from my larger video because in that video, I looked at things from the context of each individual faction. So while each one of those characters are on my list of characters I would really, or champs I would really love to get, I am looking at it from the holistic view of within the faction. So if I already have healers within a faction, maybe I won't get another healer there, and just sort of that thought process. Here's a little bit different. I'm just thinking about raid overall. So there's going to be slight differences, particularly when we look at the dwarf faction. My most wanted dwarf within the dwarf faction will not actually be on this list, but I do have two other dwarves instead. So a little bit of a sneak peek here. But I'm going to go ahead and go down the list. So this is going to be my top 5, and I'll also give an honorable mention. And so let's start with my number 5. And I would say my number 5 is going to be here in the High Elves, and that's going to be Fina. This is my most wanted faction Unity champ. She brings a ton of Unity utility to the High Elves, and I think she just has some usefulness even when she's not with her High Elves. Looking at this ally speed in all battles, I think that's extremely useful. I think having a block debuffs on an ally is also useful. This is just one ally, not a team wide, so it's not the most useful, but still good. And there's a ton of additional utility as well, increasing the cooldown of a random skill, and it does call an ally to help you attack as well. And this is not dependent upon being part of the faction. So I think she has utility outside of that. I focused on my other video on these two on her A3 as well as her passive because of the faction unity stuff, and I do think that's what makes her so strong. And I think even now being on this list is mostly because of her faction unity utility. However, I do think that she brings additional utility beyond that and would still be useful with other content, even though her main place will be in Faction Wars or in Siege or in other content, but with High Elves. Moving on to number 4, let's exit out of this faction. I would say my number 4 is going to be in the Barbarians, and that is Odin. Odin has a couple of things that I really like. He has a AoE remove buffs, and this is not only just a remove buffs, but also has a stun on it. So this is like two of my favorite things combined. Odin actually has three of my favorite things combined. You'll hear me discuss this on my last video, but there are three things my three favorite things that I look for in a kit is actually AoE remove buffs, AoE stun, as well as enemy like max damage and a skill that's focused on enemy max HP. And he brings that on his A3. So he's got the three things that I love most about champions in Raid Shadow Legends. He has all three of them, which honestly probably means he should move up higher on my list. But I'll leave him at number 3 for now. I think, or number 4 for now. I think the other three that I have in mind, I'm just more excited to get. Odin might actually be better than them as I think about it, but I'm just very excited about these other three. Moving on to number three, and also a hint, my number two is in this faction as well. So you heard me discuss, if you listen to the companion video, the much longer hour and a half video, hour 40, 50, whatever it is, I actually chose Tormund there. And that's because of his utility alongside Hilvy. So when I'm thinking about things specifically from a faction perspective, and not just from a faction perspective, but taking that into account of what I need in the faction. His utility with alongside Hillary is just great because he's going to constantly be coming in and attacking even when it's not his turn. And so I really like that. But outside of that, when I think about just what I want in raid overall, outside of the dwarf faction, dwarves, but utility that they bring outside of the dwarf faction, I'm actually going to go with Newt as my number three. And now I don't know a ton. Like I don't have him, so I've never used him. Um, but I can speak about my expectations for what he brings to the table. And when I read this kit, I actually like some of my other champs that I'll have listed, like Odin, a bit more. But I hear so much great stuff about Newt that I'm just assuming um, that he's going to bring more that I'm actually uh, reading and expecting here. And I think a lot of that comes from this skill, which is his A3, and it's the enemy max HP hit. He attacks 3 times. And so I think that's kind of the idea here. It's on a 4 turn cooldown, but you're getting 3 hits out of it. And so my assumption is that this is like just obliterating the enemy's max HP because you're hitting them 3 times and you're also decreasing the target's defense. And so eventually you'll get their defense down 30%. You're targeting their max HP, and bosses just, wither away in front of him, is my understanding of it. When I read this, I don't know how much of that max HP you're actually damaging, how much you're actually taking away. Is it 1%? Is it 10%? Is it 50%? It's definitely not going to be 50% because you're hitting 3 times. But I don't know, what percent of the enemy's max HP you're actually dwindling away. So for me, it's difficult for me to look at this and be like, oh yeah, Newt is the greatest ever. But I am relying upon what everyone else is saying, and that has me excited for him. And so he's actually going to make my list. Um, Even though reading the kits, I'm more excited for Odin and honestly probably Fina as well. But I'm going to give him a little bit of a boost just from what I'm hearing about him. And, the reviews kind of go alongside what I'm hearing for him as well. Number two is actually going to be Acrizia. So still within the Dwarves faction. And this is tricky because I don't hear as much about Acrizia as I do hear about Newt or not, or however you say his name. And hence it sounds like, he may actually be better than Acrizia as well. However, I'm just more excited for Acrizia. She does have this enemy max HP hit on literally everything. And so, this is again something that I just really love, and I'm looking forward to having more on my account overall. One thing that I've discussed, and I don't want to go on too much of a tangent here, but that I'm very focused on faction wars at the moment, but I am starting to pivot slightly towards boss content, whether that's clan boss, Grim Forest, um, Doom Tower too. I think I'm getting through Doom Tower normal pretty easily at the moment. But when I think about hard, think about bringing in more champs that can just kind of make their way through bosses and all these different game modes and help me start collecting resources in these areas. So as I'm thinking about that, that's actually what's got me most excited. And so just knowing that she kind of brings that on all three of her skills, no matter what I'm doing, I'm attacking the enemy's max HP, and I love that about her. Is she ultimately going to perform better than Newt? I don't know. I hear a lot of chatter about Newt. I hear absolutely nothing about Acrizia. Um, her reviews are phenomenal. So even though I don't hear people talking about her, she's definitely got the ratings to sort of back up my thoughts and opinions on the kit itself. And I just think she looks cooler than Newt. Um, and she's also void, so you don't have to worry about her, weak hitting or anything along those lines. So overall, I'm going to give her the edge over Newt. I still want to go back and put Odin over Newt as well, but I'm not going to just because the hype around Newt is so crazy that it's got me hyped as well. So Incrizia is my number two most excited. Now, prior to getting to my number one, I do want to give a couple of shout outs. And this is going to be very easy because I can just go to the Bandlords, just do all of my shout outs. It's all in the same place. So, first shout out is Cecilia used to be my number one. I mentioned that she was number one on my list of most wanted champs in the game, um, and I didn't think I was ever going to get her. So I wasn't expecting it when I pulled her. There's just 2x voids. I'm thinking I'm probably gonna get the worst void legendaries ever if I get any at all. And out pops Cecilia. Blew my mind. I'm still going crazy over it a few days later now. Like, I still haven't gotten over the fact that I pulled her. But she was my number one. So the number one that we're going to discuss now is actually my number two just a couple days ago. So had I made this video a couple days ago, Cecilia would be the number one. Thankfully, I actually pulled her. And so don't have to worry about that anymore. And then I'm going to give an honorable mention here. And this honorable mention is kind of a cheat because it's two characters, and you can already tell who I'm going to talk about because we're in Bannerlords still, and I said I could do all of them here. And that's going to be Taras and Marichka. Marichka is actually, this is in my last video as being my most wanted Bannerlord. And I am, again, trying to keep this video short, so I'm not going to go through and repeat everything I said about Marichka there. But I will at least hop onto Terrace a little bit because I didn't really discuss him much in that video. I'm not going to spend too much time on him, but he is an HP damage dealer, which I love that concept. That's one of my favorite concepts in Raid Shadow Legends is that you can have someone who deals damage based off of something like HP or defense. And so the idea is that you're building this person for survivability, but they're also going to hit ridiculously hard. And there's quite a few champions that fall into that area. But Taras is one of them. He's got a few things that I really like. He's got he's got a stun. It is um, a single target stun. He's got a stun. He does have an AOE, and you guys know how much I love AOEs. And this AOE also has a heal on it for himself. Um, Emershka is a healer. I know we're not going to really talk about her here too much, but she is a healer. And when we look at her kit, I mean, there's also some utility in here for Taras where he always attacks when you do her A1. I thought he was mentioned in here elsewhere, but I guess not. But he always does his A1 when she does her A1. And so he's going to be attacking and hitting even more. And so I really love that about him. And we are here during the Valentine's fusion. So we're looking at other companions, um, companion champions, and this is a companion video to my other video that I made. It's not a video focused on companions. I should do one of those, but this is companion to the other video I will be putting out on the same day. So I think it's really on point and relevant to call them out as an honorable mention. And now with all that done, let's move on to my number one. Here in the Ogryn tribes, my number one most excited, who was my number two until just a couple days ago, is Klazag. And I went into detail in him in the companion piece video to this one, so I probably won't spend too much time on him here. But real quick, he does enemy max HP, which you can kind of see this happening on 4 of my top 5. They have this enemy max HP ability, whether it's Klazag, Acrizia, Newt, or Odin. They all have this. So you kind of see where my mind is heading in a post faction world, in a post faction crypt, faction war normal world. You get what I'm saying. So as I move on from faction wars normal, I'm kind of moving into this world where I'm going to focus more on boss content. This becomes more important, and I think Klazag is going to be amazing at this just because it's kind of just happening in the background. Every time he's placing a debuff, he's doing max. He's doing damage to the bosses based off their max HP, and it stacks up to 10%. He dropped so many debuffs, 4 on that one here. And I don't know if it counts these debuffs as he's placing it. Like, if he places these on the attack, will that count as 4 and therefore be an additional 4%? Or is it just the ones already on the boss? That I don't know, but regardless, this can stack up to 10%. I think it'll be fairly easy to get 10 debuffs on a boss, particularly when he's dropping so many himself. And so then every time he is doing his A1s, for instance, because he's doing True Fair. So he could just be doing, and it can be resisted by bosses. So even on his A1, he's doing 10% max HP damage to a boss. And that to me is just insane. And it's just happening in the background just because there's debuffs that exist, and other characters can place debuffs, and he then just does his A1 and bam, 10% max HP off of the boss. And so because of that, he is my number one. Um, when we think about the fact that Acrisia and Odin also have um, skills that do that, Acrisia all three, who will actually outperform who when it comes to using them in practice? That I don't know. Acrisia may actually outperform Klazag, but here I can see the percent that's going to happen, right? So I have an expectation of what that will look like. Um, and not only do I have an expectation of what that will look like, but also I could use the help in my Ogren Tribes faction, right? I have a lot of fun with this faction. I talk about it quite a bit. I have some fun with them, but I could use the help, and so Klazag would just come in handy from that perspective as well. And because that he jumps ahead of Acrisia and Odin and some others as being my number one most wanted legendary that I can pull from a shard in Raid Shadow Legends. And there you have it. That is my top five with a few honorable mentions as well as a shout out to Cecilia. And I thank you for watching this video, and I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed quite a bit of the other material that I'm releasing as well. And look forward to future videos. Take care.